14th February 2018. Valentine's Day. While India was busy with roses and romance, the Central Bureau of Investigation filed a case that would shake every bank account holder in this country to their core. 11,400 crore rupees. Gone. Not stolen in a heist. Not hacked by some foreign power. Siphoned out systematically, brilliantly, and with the full cooperation of the very people paid to protect it. I'm Vikram. I've covered financial frauds for 15 years. I've sat across the table from CBI officers, sleuths, and men who have watched empires collapse. But this case, the Punjab National Bank fraud, this one stopped me cold. Because the villain wasn't hiding in the shadows. He was flying business class to London. He was on magazine covers. He was designing jewelry for Bollywood's biggest stars. Nirav Modi. A name that once meant glamour, now means betrayal. And behind him, an entire system that looked the other way for 7 years. ये सिर्फ एक fraud नहीं था. ये एक system की failure थी. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's not just a crime story. It's a mirror held up to every bank, every regulator, every Indian who trusted an institution with their money. Let's go back. Not to 2018, when the world found out. Let's go back to 2011. That's when it really started. Nirav Modi was already a name in luxury circles. His firm, Firestar Diamond, had offices in New York, Hong Kong, Dubai, and Geneva. His aunt's husband, Mehul Choksi, ran Geetanjali Gems, one of India's largest jewelry retail chains. Between them, they controlled a diamond empire worth thousands of crores. But here's what nobody outside their inner circle knew: the empire was built on borrowed money. And that borrowing was about to become something far more sinister. Punjab National Bank, Brady House Branch, Mumbai. This single branch, tucked inside a colonial-era building in Fort, would become ground zero for India's largest banking fraud. A junior bank official named Gokulnath Shetty worked here. He was not a flashy man. Not rich. Not powerful on paper. But he had access to something priceless, the SWIFT messaging system, the global network that banks use to authorize international transactions. And he knew something his bosses, apparently, did not check: that the SWIFT system was not integrated with the bank's core banking software, called Finacle. 2 systems. No cross-verification. For a fraudster, this wasn't a loophole. It was an open door. Nirav Modi's team walked right through it, and Gokulnath Shetty held it open for them. Let me explain the weapon used here, because understanding it is everything. A letter of undertaking, or law. It sounds boring. It is anything but. An law is essentially a guarantee. When an Indian company wants to import goods, say, diamonds, from overseas suppliers, it needs foreign currency to pay them. Rather than arranging that currency directly, they go to their bank. The bank issues an law saying, we guarantee this company's payment. If they default, we will pay. Overseas banks like Allahabad Bank's Hong Kong branch, Axis Bank's overseas arm, and others see this letter, trust it, and release funds to the importer. The importer is supposed to repay within 90 days. Simple. Legitimate. When used honestly. Now here's how Nirav Modi's team perverted it. They walked into PNB's Brady House branch and asked for loans, but without any collateral, without margin money, without any entry in the core banking system. Gokulnath Shetty issued these loans anyway, transmitting them through SWIFT. Overseas banks received official-looking PNB guarantees and released funds. Those funds went to Nirav Modi's and Mehul Choksi's overseas shell companies. And PNB's internal system. It showed nothing. No liability recorded. No alarm triggered. This happened not once. Not 10 times. Over 1,200 fraudulent transactions over 7 years. Each law was used to repay previous ones, a classic Ponzi structure, while the actual whole kept growing. By January 2018, the outstanding amount had ballooned to 11,400 crore rupees, roughly $1.77 billion US dollars. January 2018. Nirav Modi's team approaches PNB Brady House branch again. Routine. As always. But Gokulnath Shetty had retired in May 2017. The new officer in the seat did not know the arrangement. Or perhaps, and this is what investigators believe, he did know and refused. He asked one question that Shetty had apparently never asked: where is the collateral? Nirav Modi's representatives had no answer. Because there never was any collateral. The new officer escalated the matter internally. PNB's management, for the first time, began checking the SWIFT logs against the core banking records. What they found made senior officials physically ill, according to sources I've spoken with. A 7-year-long trail of unauthorized transactions. A liability of over 11,000 crore rupees that the bank had unknowingly guaranteed and that overseas banks were now starting to call in. On 29 January 2018, PNB filed a complaint with the CBI. 4 days later, 5th February, Nirav Modi had already left India. His wife Ami, brother Nishal, and business partner Mihir Bhansali had also exited. Mehul Choksi had quietly obtained Antiguan citizenship in November 2017 and left India on 4th January 2018, 6 weeks before the complaint was filed. The timing, investigators say, was not coincidental. किसी ने इन्हें बता दिया था. Someone had warned them. I remember sitting with a senior aid officer in Delhi in late 2018. He spread a map across the table. New York, London, Hong Kong, Dubai, Antwerp. This is where the money went, he said. And this is how complicated our job is. The Enforcement Directorate moved fast. Within months of the FIR, they had attached assets worth thousands of crores: Nirav Modi's Mumbai apartment in Samudra Mahal, his New York gallery, paintings by Picasso and Roy Lichtenstein, a Rolls-Royce, rough diamonds in vaults across 3 countries. Total ed attachment, approximately 2,000 crore rupees in assets, a fraction of the total fraud. The CBI arrested Gokulnath Shetty, his colleague Manoj Kharat, and Hemant Bhatt, a Nirav Modi employee who was the key liaison. Over 20 individuals were arrested in India: bank officials, company employees, shell company operators. PNB itself came under scrutiny. How did senior management not notice for 7 years? An internal audit was supposed to catch this. It didn't. The RBI launched its own examination of all public sector banks' SWIFT systems. What they found was alarming. 11 public sector banks had SWIFT systems not integrated with their core banking software. PNB's vulnerability was not unique. It was systemic. Meanwhile, Nirav Modi was spotted in London. The Indian government filed extradition requests. The British courts became the next battleground. Let me tell you where things stand, because this story is not over. Nirav Modi was arrested in London in March 2019. He fought extradition for 4 years. In February 2021, a Westminster Magistrates court ordered his extradition to India. He appealed. Lost. Appealed again. Lost again. As of 2024, the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom has declined to hear his final appeal. India is awaiting final execution of the extradition order. He remains in Wandsworth Prison, London. Mehul Choksi is a different story. He acquired Antiguan citizenship and has used it as a shield. He claims he is seriously ill. In 2021, he mysteriously appeared in Dominica under disputed circumstances. The Antiguan government claimed he was kidnapped. Indian agencies denied involvement. He returned to Antigua. He remains there. Extradition proceedings continue, but his lawyers are expert at delay. In India, a special CBI court delivered a landmark verdict in March 2024. Gokulnath Shetty was convicted and sentenced to rigorous imprisonment. Other bank officials have faced trial. 45 accused in total. PNB has so far recovered approximately 8,000 crore rupees through asset sales, insurance claims from Decocht, and consortium recovery actions. 3,000 plus crore remains unrecovered. The human cost. PNB's stock crashed 30% in days after the news broke. Thousands of shareholders, ordinary middle-class Indians with PNB shares in their portfolios, lost crores. Bank employees faced scrutiny, transfers, and trauma. The Brady House branch staff lived under a cloud for years. 11,400 crore rupees. Let me put that in human terms. That is roughly the annual education budget of a mid-sized Indian state. That is enough to build 200 government hospitals. That is money that belonged, ultimately, to depositors. To you. To me. When a public sector bank bleeds this much, the government recapitalizes it with taxpayer money. Which means every Indian who paid tax in 2018 and 2019 paid a tiny slice of the bill for Nirav Modi's fraud. That makes us all victims. The RBI, to its credit, moved quickly after 2018. Swift integration with core banking became mandatory for all banks. Concurrent audits were strengthened. The government amended the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The Fugitive Economic Offenders Act, 2018, yes, a brand new law, was passed specifically to deal with fraudsters who flee the country. Under this act, Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi were declared fugitive economic offenders, allowing Indian courts to attach and sell all their properties even before conviction. That is the direct legislative legacy of this case. But here is my concern, and I say this after 15 years of covering this beat. We fixed the technical gap. The swift financial disconnect. We passed new laws. But the fundamental problem, bank officials colluding with borrowers, a culture of fear where junior employees don't question senior decisions, regulatory audits that are more performance than substance, wo abhi bhi hai. It's still there. The next fraud is being built right now. Somewhere. In some branch. By someone who believes they won't get caught. Nirav Modi believed that too. Nirav Modi sits in a British prison. Mehul Choksi hides on a Caribbean island. Gokulnath Shetty has been convicted. But 3,000 crore rupees is still missing. The lesson. In India, glamour can be a disguise. A magazine cover is not a character certificate. And when a system has no checks, human greed will always find the gap. Question your banks. Question your institutions. और अपनी आंखें खुली रखो. If this episode made you think, subscribe. There are more stories like this. And some of them are even darker.